An event has occurred, people have been hurt, trauma occurs, and through that a journey of healing happens. What about the people on the sidelines, those that help the people going through the trauma? Have you ever been close to someone who's been through something so traumatic and also found that their trauma has affected you? Well, welcome to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, the UK's only programme dedicated to mental health and well-being. And today we are talking about the secondary victims of trauma. And helping me to explore this topic is resident psychologist Dr. Audrey Tang. We've also got on resident child safety advocate Marilyn Hawes to discuss how to protect children with disabilities from sexual abuse. Resident decluttering expert Sally Walford shows us how you can make your home a lot less cluttered. And nutritionist Severine Menem is on hand to help you eat healthily with a yummy nutritional recipe. Fitness expert Natalia Kotowska is also here to keep you fit and active with a killer circuit workout. And newsreader Helena Chard is bound to leave you feeling great with our weekly dose of feel-good news. And autism correspondent Anna Kennedy discusses the latest developments in the autism community, along with real-life story guest Joely Coulmer, who sees her Aspergers as a gift, and she'll be telling us why later. And at the end of the show, I give you my tips on how you can help prevent what's going on in the world from affecting you negatively. Now, according to goodtherapy.org, vicarious trauma, also known as secondary trauma, is an indirect exposure to a traumatic event through a first-hand account of that event. Many people experience degrees of vicarious trauma, especially in helping professionals such as counsellors, therapies, rescue workers, police officers, doctors and lawyers. But it isn't only exclusive to professionals. Any person who has a significant relationship with a survivor of trauma may also come to experience secondary traumatization. So what does our resident psychologist Dr. Audrey Tang have to say about the matter? Well, here she is. Welcome to the show, Audrey.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy.
So another important topic, we haven't actually covered this topic before.
It's a really good one, actually, to look at. So I'm really pleased we're doing it today.
Yeah, because obviously sometimes we focus so much on the person that's going through the trauma, and we forget about those that are actually, the other people that are dealing with it. So can you tell us more about it, first of all?
Yes, the terms secondary trauma and vicarious trauma tend to be used interchangeably, but there is a difference between them. So I'll just clarify that first and then talk a little bit more about it. Vicarious trauma is more of a technical term. It's used more for research purposes, academic purposes, for diagnostics, but it is used with secondary trauma and also compassion fatigue. And the whole idea behind secondary trauma is that you experience trauma through a work-related exposure with somebody who's going through it. So, for example, a counsellor who's dealing with somebody who's going through child abuse, that's extremely traumatic. And as the counsellor, you may experience symptoms of trauma because of that. This relates to compassion fatigue because whilst vicarious trauma is very specifically to trauma workers, compassion fatigue and secondary trauma can relate to anyone who's caring for somebody else, who's working in the care professions, and therefore it's a lot more of a common term and a better term to be using in this context.
Right. And why is it that, even when someone just retells maybe what they've been through and describes it, why does it impact some people so much?
It all comes down to empathy, and that's where the roots of secondary trauma lie, in that people are often drawn to caring professions, caring roles, because they're very empathetic, they have a lot of compassion, they want to make somebody better. However, this can be incredibly exhausting. It might even be that if you've gone into, say, counselling, you manage to get one person through it, but then another person comes along, and then another person, and then another person. It begins to feel like it's never ending. Alternatively, you might come to a point where you just get stuck and you can't help somebody, and that can cause you problems as well. So it's partly the fact that you're drawn to it, therefore you tend to contain the anxieties of that other person, and so what they're feeling, you feel it yourself. Worse still if you've gone through something similar, but also you can be very exhausted because when you're handling that much emotion, as well as your own day-to-day life, that's very tiring. So what to do then if you are maybe in the care profession or you are caring for someone, you maybe have a family member that's been through something,
and it's affecting you, what can you do?
First of all, recognise the signs, and the signs are not always noticeable to you, because one of the key things is you may actually stop reflecting, because you begin to feel, well, a bit hopeless. There's nothing more I can do. I can't do anything. You begin to feel very angry at the world, depressed with the world, and other people might actually start saying to you, hang on a minute, are you okay? Why do you always just either talk about work or you don't want to talk about anything else?
Okay.
So it's very difficult for you to find an escape. So the things to do about it, really, first of all, take a break. If you have to take a break, I'm not saying leave the profession, but I am saying that if you're suffering from that sort of stress because of your work, you're not necessarily doing your clients or your patients any good by feeling that way and still pushing on trying to treat them. So take a break, there's nothing wrong with doing that, and take the time to reassess and see whether that profession is still right for you. The second thing that you can do is of course engage in a little bit more self-care, eat well, exercise, but also you may need to work through some of your own issues. It might be that a patient has triggered something in you that you need to work through yourself. You may be drawn to a particular person or a particular type of disorder because of something that you've gone through. So it might be that you actually need to work through what's going on in your life. Learn to set boundaries, learn to empower and signpost rather than try and solve everyone's problem, because sometimes it's much more empowering to give people the tools and let them do it themselves. That's really really important. And similarly, if you work from home, as a lot of counsellors do, have a physical boundary. So have a room where you see patients or you see clients, and then when you shut that door, you can actually move into your house and relax in it as a house. So those are a few things that are very important. Mindfulness, that can help you. It's not just yoga and breathing and meditation. It can even be something as simple as remembering what you enjoyed for yourself as a child and then doing that again. And don't forget that you cannot always save everybody. It's not your job to save everybody. There's a lovely story that I've heard, and it's a very common one, but I'll just tell it now, and it's about a little boy throwing starfish back into the sea because they'd all washed up, and his father said to him, why are you doing that? Because you can't save every single starfish. You won't make a difference. And the little boy looked at him and said, well, I made a difference to that one. Which is a lovely. So remember, you do make a difference.
Brilliant. Audrey, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you again next time.
Yes.
And just to let our viewers know, if you do have any questions for us about this topic, please do get in touch with us on info@chrissybshow.tv, and we are also recording this segment live on Facebook, so if you ever want to tune in and watch us live, if you have any questions as well, you can actually post that on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Thank you so much. Now, one way of dealing with trauma is through education, and in certain circumstances, prevention. And here with us now to talk about how to help prevent sexual abuse with children with disabilities is Marilyn Hawes. Welcome to the show, Marilyn.
Thanks for having me.
Lovely to have you back on. So today we're talking about the vulnerability of children with disabilities. So why are children with disabilities more at risk, would you say?
Well, you've actually said the word vulnerability. Children with any disability, physical, sensory, mental health illnesses, learning disabilities, they are the most marginalised children in the world. Globally. They find it difficult to access sometimes because of those disabilities and impairments. They find it difficult to access certain services that are readily available and easily accessible to other people. And I don't think people ask them, because they're marginalised, they're kind of sort of ignored. And they're not asking the right questions to the people who are suffering in that way.
Okay, how much more at risk would you say they are?
Well, significantly, 3 times more likely to be sexually abused than a child that is not disabled.
Wow.
Overall, roughly 31% of children who have disabilities have been sexually abused, against 9% of non-disabled children. Bearing in mind that 80% doesn't get reported. And the thing with children who have got disabilities, the abuse tends to be a bit different as well. It can often be multiple people and multiple abuse, and they're just taken complete advantage of. It's really dreadful. What goes on at the level it goes on at, and because if a child is impaired sight, impaired hearing, whatever, all those sensory things are not facilitated. There was a case we had not so long ago of a girl who had autism, and she couldn't remember faces. and she met this guy online, and he met her offline, and he abused her. She ended up getting pregnant, but she couldn't remember his face. So we work with a company that tracks people, and this company actually had a guess that maybe from the things she was saying, was it someone close to her? So this girl who we know, she set up as somebody with autism, and immediately was contacted by this guy. It turned out to be the girl's teacher.
Oh gosh!
You see, there's the vulnerability. That it's
so they know about the case.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, shocking. But that's the sort of things. There's other cases where a baby boy had eczema and had severe learning difficulties and communication skills, and he was retained, strapped in, bound in, to be assaulted in his buggy. But because he had eczema, all these red marks and everything, they said it was just more eczema. It wasn't. It was physical abuse, but he couldn't say. And there was another little lad. He had bruises on his thighs and bruises in the anal area, and they couldn't work it out, and they just assumed that it was a reaction to the rectal Valium that he'd been given, but it was actually abuse. He'd been sexually abused.
So it's very carefully planned, isn't it? Because they see, what the child's...
It's dreadful. And the fact it's planned, to me, it's a double whammer.
Yeah.
Because it's bad enough if you are a non-disabled person and you're, altogether sound, but when you've deliberately targeted somebody with a disability, to me, that should be a far more serious prison sentence.
Yeah.
And, that's a double whammer. That is a really vile. It's vile anyway, but to do that is just ghastly. Absolutely ghastly.
Marilyn, would you say that children, maybe online, like cyber abuse is a really big issue in this case?
16 times more likely.
16?
Yeah, cyberbullying for children who are on the spectrum, for children who have anyway some disability. If you're talking of children on the spectrum, they have Aspergers, autism. There's sometimes a disability. It depends, because you're on the spectrum, so it depends where you are on the spectrum. But for some, they don't understand how a relationship works. Asperger's can be, for some children I've taught, can be very focused on themselves, their own emotions, and they don't understand when they're online, on an online game, what's being said to them, what's happening, and they don't understand maybe what banter means. They don't understand where other people are at. And because of that, they sometimes, I think, sit maybe like a little duck on the water, ready to get shot. And there are games. I mean, I think there's one called Autocraft, I think it is, that is for children with autism, and there are mediators there on those games that will help them sort through the relationship issues that are so difficult for children that are on the spectrum. But we've got to get inside the minds and understand how these people think, and just be better able at doing it.
What can we do then? How can we prevent these things from happening?
There's a significant gaps in knowledge. We've got to start communicating. Let's communicate with the children themselves. How were they abused? Can they communicate? Let's get them in the room, talk to them. How did it feel? What's it done to you? What if you can communicate? And some will say, I may be disabled, but I can speak. So please don't ask my carer if I take sugar. All this sort of attitudinal ignorance and negativity around people that are disabled have got amazing gifts to bring to society and can teach us so much. And I find it really remarkable that we're still just ignoring them and let's just not include them. Inclusion's necessary globally. We all live on this planet together, and it frustrates me, the struggles that these poor people still have.
Marilyn, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, to raise awareness again about a very important topic.
Thank you.
We need to get talking more about these things,
Absolutely.
and as you said, include them in the conversation. Those that have been abused, those that are going through certain things, include them as well.
And take time.
Yeah.
Patience.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again next
Thank you.
time. Thank you. Well, everyone, don't go away, because after the break we have on Natalia Kotowska demonstrating a blood pumping circuit workout, and Sally Walford teaches us how to keep our homes clutter-free. But first, how much is Britain's clutter worth? Is it A, 12.7 million, B, 22.7 million, or C, 32.7 million? Think you know the answer? Find out if you're right after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, your program for all things mental health and well-being. So before the break, we asked you, how much is Britain's clutter worth? Is it A, 12.7 million, B, 22.7 million, or C, 32.7 million? The answer is C, a whopping £32.7 million according to the British Heart Foundation. They reported that the most common clutter items being old CDs, lava lamps, Rubik's Cubes and bread makers. So what do you have lying around that you don't actually need but can make some money from or donate to charity? Maybe it's time for some decluttering. Here's Sally Walford to tell us how.
Hi. My name's Sally Walford and I'm the resident declutterer on the Chrissy B Show, and today I'm going to take you around my own home to show you some top tips that I've applied to myself. Okay, coming through, I wanted to show you my wardrobe. So what I've got here is I've got all my clothes facing the same way, so that therefore I can apply the hanger test at any time to find out what I'm really wearing and what I'm not. I've also managed to colour coordinate everything, just because I find it easier then to be able to grab exactly what I want and where it is. I've applied that also to my boots along with the clothes. And I know that I've talked about this before on the show, but I've got my clear shoe boxes, which not only are you able to see what you've got, but they're brilliant for stacking and storing. So the main thing that your bedroom should be is a very calm environment, and I think it's really important. It should be the place that you come to de-stress. It's the place where you start your day. So let's clear everything out of the way, clear surfaces, only have what you need near you, and I promise you, you'll have a better night's sleep. Okay, so again, I know that I've talked about this on the show, and I just wanted to show how I utilise this particular technique in my bedroom. I've got all of my trousers and leggings all folded in the 3-fold thing, and also my scarves, so I can see exactly what I've got and easily to access. So there you are. I hope you've enjoyed some of my top tips around my home. Just want you to remember that decluttering is about bringing calmness and a great energy into your home, because you really do deserve it.
Now, exercise can do wonders for our health, and here Natalia Kotowska gives us a workout to get our bodies moving and our hearts pumping.
Hey guys, it's me Natalia Kotowska, and Do It With Nat, your fitness instructor. And today I prepared for you some nice circuit for our lower body. We all want that nice tight legs, rounded booty, and the summer is coming. So hey, stay with me. We have nice and short circuit for you. First exercise, we're gonna do walking lunges. So you wanna go nice and low with your feet. Go all the way down, try to keep your knee as low to the floor as possible. However, if that's not possible, if that's your limit, stick it to this one. Go low, all the way up, down. You can walk also backwards, so you can do back walk, all the way down, up. If that's too simple, add the jump to it. That will make it way more difficult, and you're gonna feel it, trust me. So you want to do 10 each leg, that will give you 20 in total. That's the first exercise. Right after, you want to move to squat, lunge, squat, lunge, squat, nice and low, sit on your heels, toes off the floor, feel that booty like you're sitting on a chair, open your chest, look up, breathe, hold your hands in front of you, that might help you, in somewhere here so it will stop you from leaning forward, and then move back in a nice low position, move back. You will feel that burn in your thighs, trust me. You wanna go 10 each side, 10 each side. Once you complete your second exercise, you wanna go right after to your third exercise. Woo! So tired. And the third exercise is side lunge. Same thing. You want to go to the side, nice and low, straight back, lower on your knee, on your booty, side, walk out. If that's too difficult, keep shifting the weight. Hop, 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 one side, change to the other side. Have your hands in front of you. That will help you to maintain that nice straight back. Now you go 10 each side. That will give you 20 in the first one, 20 in the second one, 20 in the third one, 60 in total. You want to go 3 rounds with 1 minute break in between. Trust me, you will feel that burn in your thighs, in your booty, and that will give you nice and toned legs for the summer. Thank you so much for staying with me, for watching Chrissy B Show, and I will see you next time.
Thank you very much to Natalia and to Sally earlier. Well, don't go away, because after the break we have on Helena Chard giving us some feel-good news, and nutritionist Severine Menem shows us how to make a yummy recipe, as well as answering your nutritional questions, including this one. What are the best diets that avoid the dreaded yo-yo effect on weight loss? Find out what she has to say after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, the program that loves to look after your mental health and well-being. And now with us is our lovely nutritionist Severine Menem to show us how to make a yummy recipe that's also very good for you, as usual. Welcome to the show, Severine.
Hi, Chrissy.
What are we making today then?
Today we're making hummus.
Okay. Why?
Why?
is it good
Because
for
it's
us?
almost the summer. We love salads. We want something which is cold and handy and very easy to make.
Okay.
So we're making hummus, which is very good because chickpeas have proteins, and then we're adding some good fats in olive oil, some tahini, which is also fat because it's sesame seed paste, but it has a lot of calcium.
Brilliant, okay.
So that's good. Lemon for vitamin C and antioxidants. Cumin is also an antioxidant, and garlic is strong flavor and antimicrobial.
Wonderful. Okay, so how do we do this then?
Okay,
We just shove everything in the blender, do we?
pretty much everything at once. Yeah,
Let's
we
bring
start
that
with the
closer.
chickpeas.
Okay. There we go.
So we start blending the chickpeas together.
Oh, shall I do that first?
Yes.
Oh, okay, just on their own.
So one way to cut on calories would be to add some water. So either if you use canned chickpeas, the water, the juice from the can, or just if you do it yourself, like.
All right, okay.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll add a bit of more.
do some. Right, now we're adding the tahini.
Yeah, we're adding tahini.
We like hummus chunky though, don't we?
Yes, we do. So about 2 tablespoons.
Okay.
So
It smells lovely.
1 tablespoon of lemon juice.
Lovely.
And 1 tablespoon of cumin. And that's it. And then we add the olive oil later.
All right. Is that enough? Okay. Let's have a
think
look.
it is.
That didn't take long, did it, Severine?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
It's very quick.
Looks amazing. There you go. Okay, let's spoon that into the bowl.
Oops. I can't see anything.
Okay, there you go.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's a perfect consistency, don't you? Oh, you like yours a bit chunkier, don't you?
I like it chunkier, but when you make it at home, you can decide
Yeah.
what you like. So
Okay. And don't forget to add salt and pepper as well.
I know,
right?
I add that at the very end.
Oh, do you? Okay, let's do
Yes.
that now then. Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
don't
do
worry,
some
I'll
more.
lick this afterwards.
Oh, okay, I'm not worried. All good.
Okay, so there we go.
So yeah,
Let's smooth those out of the way so everybody
let's
can
add a bit of
see.
salt. Oops. And
There you go. There you have it, everybody. Lovely, homemade, easy peasy hummus. Should we taste it, Severine?
yes, we should.
Let's get a spoon. Looks lovely. Consistency is perfect, isn't it?
Yes.
The cumin's lovely in it. Guys, honestly, this tastes better than the stuff you buy in the shops, really, in the little tubs. This is so easy to make. We've got a big portion there as well.
Yes.
Store it in the fridge for a while. Have some snacks throughout
Absolutely.
the week. Lovely. Should we answer some questions now, Severine?
Yes.
The first question from our viewers is, what are the best diets that avoid the dreaded yo-yo effect of weight loss?
That's a tricky question. I think there are two reasons why people do yo-yo diet. The first one is they have the wrong reason why they want to lose weight. So they're ready to do whatever it takes to lose weight and they succeed. But because it's not a healthy reason, then it's really hard to sustain. And because these diets, they're just unsustainable in the long term.
Okay.
So the best way to diet and lose weight and keep it off is not a certain diet, it's just to change habits, lifestyle and diet habits one at a time.
All right. And that's the best way.
In my opinion, that's the best way.
Yeah, me too. I agree, definitely. Next question. I finally come to terms with the fact that I'm addicted to sugar and have decided I'm going to cut back. The only problem is that it looks like sugar is in everything. What can I eat that isn't high in sugar and still good for you?
This is absolutely true. There is sugar in everything that is processed. So the best way is to stay away from that and to start cooking from scratch. So from fresh fruits, from fresh vegetables, meat, fish, eggs, lentils, pulses, like we've just made hummus. That would be the best way to start. So of course, fresh fruits have sugar, but it's natural sugar, so it won't be as much as whatever is added. Yes, as long as you stay away from dried fruits, I think that should be fine.
Because you eat a lot more dried fruits than you would fresh, right?
Yes, exactly, because the water has been removed, so it's much easier to have a lot more.
Yeah. And also, when you eat healthily like this as well, you don't get as much cravings, do you? As many sugar cravings.
Just a bit of a tip at the beginning, when you swap processed food for natural food, make sure you have a lot of complex carbohydrates, like grains, pasta, or carrots, sweet potatoes, and beetroot, these type of things that have a lot of natural sugar, because you will crave sugar. So you can go cold turkey and be horrible in your body, in your mind for 3 days, or just like getting better
gradually.
Yeah, by doing it gradually.
Brilliant. And one last question for today. What's one food everyone should eat a little bit more of?
That's a very tricky one, because everyone has their weakness in the diet. But I think the one thing that you should really do is eat a lot more of cruciferous vegetables.
Okay, like broccoli.
So broccoli, cauliflower, kale, rocket, this type of thing. Because first, it's really high in fibers and nutrients, in magnesium, which most people lack, but also it really helps with liver detoxification. And we live in such a toxic world that we all need a bit more of that, at least here in London.
Definitely. Severine, thank you so much, my darling.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you again next time.
Great.
And everybody at home, if you'd like more information about Severine, all you need to do is visit our website, chrissybshow.tv, scroll down, and you can find all her details there. And if you have a question for one of our nutritionists, all you need to do is email us on nutrition@chrissybshow.tv. Now, one way to keep that happy state of mind is by reminding yourself of all the positive things happening around the world. And here with us to do just that is our very own Helena Chard in this week's A Helping of Happy. Welcome to the show, Helena.
Thank you, Chrissy. So, love always doing my news, and today I think it's really poignant. So 24/7 we're getting media news pumped out, and it's always, well, I feel quite negative.
It is.
And it sort of gives that sort of negative feedback loop that we need to change. So obviously with the news, we always discuss sensitive topics, but it's all about progress and hope and just positive journalism, and I think it's fabulous.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes,
I love
me
it.
too.
A lot of it's happy as well, but I think some of the subjects are quite sensitive, aren't they? And I think empowering and well-being, obviously. So we don't want bad news. So I'm going to start with Dr. Pam Ramsden. She's a lecturer of psychology at the University of Bradford, and she's studied the psychological effects of consuming negative news from social media. So the whole thing of, you know, watching and taking it in. And actually I can say that there's been some things, I can remember so many things I've seen on the news I wish I hadn't seen, and they've stayed in my mind. She says this is vicarious trauma, and it affects some people, not everybody. And although not a specific diagnosis, it's similar to how responders, nurses, doctors, people that are always taking in lots of trauma, they then carry that. So it's a similar thing. And some individuals are actually left with post-traumatic stress just from taking in too much media. So I guess it's up to us to minimise it.
I think people underestimate how much it does affect a person when you're just constantly on the news. That's why I say don't watch. I'm going to talk about this later on anyway as well, but don't watch so much news if it gets to you and it, you know, it's detrimental to your mental health.
And I think really to engage in positive behaviour and to create positive energy and to put that positive energy back into the world is so important.
That's right.
Really important. So we've talked about therapists and other people who can become traumatised themselves, and it's quite a nice story about a gentleman called Michael, and he has been helped by his friends. He was not actually part of the, do you remember, it was such a long time ago, the World Trade Center? That was such a long time ago, but I remember where I was sat at the time. It was just, you know, one of those things. But he helped people. He's a psychologist. He helped so many people, although he wasn't there. For years and years afterwards, people came to him, and people were, you know, he was basically fixing people, and they were so happy. He didn't realise that actually he was going downhill.
Really?
Yeah, and he had to be medicated in the end, but his friends really helped him through it. But it just goes to show he actually was having, you know, panic attacks and everything, and that was
even though you can see he wasn't actually there, it didn't happen to him. But just hearing all those stories, because I can imagine they must have gone quite in depth about their experiences and things like that.
I won't go into it all, but it was quite something. Matthew Green, very interesting. He's an author, and his new book is Aftershock: Fighting War, Surviving Trauma and Finding Peace. Just come out, and he's got some great stories, and it's all about secondary trauma within military families. And he's saying to the government, come on, you know, you've got to try harder. You can't leave it to charities to help families, because basically it's the partners that support people, and the children get affected too. So it's very interesting. He's travelled, been to 30 countries, been with the troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he sort of journeyed across Britain, ending up in Scotland, talking to loads of families, and they really are the most amazing stories, of which I'm going to say a couple. Gosh, I haven't got very much time, but anyway. One soldier, Deborah Burns, straight into the military, and she basically came out of the army, despair. She didn't know how to do anything. She didn't know how to cook or anything. She was pregnant with her husband. She was in debt. She was depressed, homeless, bankruptcy. Everything had happened to her, and she actually moved in with the mum and dad, with the baby and the partner. And the mum and dad were very affected by it. So it was quite an interesting story there. She turned things around, and now she's got a very rewarding job helping people that were in her situation. So helping people from anything, even with benefits and things. So she does great work with people that were in her situation, which is lovely. And another family wouldn't let PTSD drive them apart, and it's actually a great story. I haven't got too much time to talk about it, but the father with PTSD, the mother supported him tremendously. The daughter was affected in the end. She got depression because everything was always about the father. And there was a little story on the beach where she was actually, it was almost like sinking sand, and she was there and she was screaming for her father, but her father suddenly went into I'm not sure what you call it, but he couldn't help. He couldn't help her in the end. And it's a great story how they got back on track, and they're talking about it as a family. So they were so affected, but they want everyone else to know that people in the same situation, you can get better.
You can get help, definitely.
And it's good to walk towards it.
Helena, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you again next week for more positive news.
Yes.
And as you said, you know, we do cover difficult things, but again, everything has a positive aspect to it, definitely. Thank you so much. Well, everyone, don't go away, because after the break, we talk to autism correspondent Anna Kennedy and real-life story guest Joely Coulmer, who sees her Aspergers as a gift, and she'll be telling us why. And I'll give you some tips on how you can help prevent what's going on in the world from affecting you negatively. But first, is this true or false? Vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue are the same thing. Find out the answer after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, where today we've been talking all about secondary trauma. Now, before the break, I asked you if this was true or false. Vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue are the same thing. The answer is actually false. According to Psychology Today, compassion fatigue is defined as physical and emotional exhaustion and a profound decrease in the ability to empathize. It's a form of secondary traumatic stress, as the stress occurs as a result of helping or wanting to help those who are in need, a common problem with those in a caring position. Well, here now to talk to us about the latest autism news is Anna Kennedy and her lovely guest, Joely Coulmer. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Hello.
Hello. Lovely to have you on. Now, before we speak to you, Joely, because we've got some very interesting opinions about some things, because you do have Aspergers, and you're going to be telling everybody why it's actually a gift for you. But just before that, let's catch up with Anna to tell us about what's been going on.
Well, April,
all the updates, please.
Yeah, April's Autism Awareness Month, so we're coming to the end of it now. So
Yes.
I've been a busy little bee. So we've had Zumbathons. I've given a talk in Manchester. We went to Heathrow, where Autism with Attitude did a flash mob. It was just so good at every single terminal at Heathrow Airport.
Oh, wow.
And the Autism Reality Experience bus, basically the staff, we had public having a 3-minute experience what it's like to have sensory overload. So it was really quite an eye-opener for a lot of people and quite emotional for parents. So we've been very busy raising awareness, dancing, Zumbathons, you name it, we've done.
Which you love, don't you, the dancing?
Yeah, so we've got Autumn's Got Talent, which is coming up, so there's only, something like 14 days to go, so it's a countdown, so everyone's getting really excited.
Brilliant. And how about the music video? So tell us about that.
We launched our charity single Baby Boy. So what we did was we chose 7 performers from Autumn's Got Talent, plus John Paul, and we re-released Baby Boy, which was 2003 for Big Brothers.
Yeah.
It's an amazing video and I'm so proud of it, and I can just see how proud the singers are of the video. So shall we watch it?
Let's take a look at clip. Yeah, let's have a look.
Oh, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. From the day that I saw you, I know that we would pursue, because the chemistry we felt that day felt so real and so true. Looking back on the years we spent together, how it's been, what we went through. Although we've had a little ups and downs, we still go through. My love for you will never end. You'll always be a part of me, as long as time keeps on passing by. You'll always be my baby boy.
Every time I look at you, I can't believe I found a love so true. And I tried my time to put my trust in you. I must admit it was so hard to do. And every minute that I spent with you made me believe I had nothing to lose. And deep down I always knew that you would be mine.
My love for you will never end. You'll always be a part of me, as long as time keeps on passing by. You'll always be my baby boy.
To go, I don't know. You're the only one that sweeps me off my feet, makes me so going. The only one that makes my heart wanna beat. And I can never live without you. You know that what I feel has to be true. Cause you're my sweet love.
Ever since the first time that I looked into your eyes, I knew that you was gonna be mine. Feeling you from the inside. When you're not by my side, you're the only one that's on my mind. I never knew a love like this, a love so strong, a vision so picture perfect, it could never be wrong. Along the way, you're gonna see you belong with Jay. I might have to marry you one day, baby. Hey, hey.
My love for you will never end. You'll always be a part of me, as long as time keeps on passing by. You'll always be my baby boy. My love for you will never end. You'll always be a part of me, as long as time keeps on passing by. You'll always be my baby boy.
Anna, you must be so proud.
I am, and all the parents are proud. We're all so proud of it. It can knock any mainstream band off its pedestal.
Brilliant. So now tell us how the two of you know one another, please.
Well, this is a inspirational young woman, and we met at Brunel University, where Joely had a stand, didn't you?
I did. I was exhibiting at the Autism Expo.
Okay, all right. Now tell us a bit about yourself, because you do have Aspergers. Can you tell us what that is exactly and how it affects people?
So I have Asperger's syndrome. The way that it affects me most is that it gives me quite poor executive function. So I find it really hard to make connections and process information. So I could be looking outside at the rain and not realise I need to put on a coat. I could be standing in the rain and not realise why I'm wet and cold, even though I can see the rain on my skin. I find it really hard to process information and make those connections and problem solve, and that's part of my executive function. And the other side of it is that I find it quite hard to communicate. So obviously now I'm communicating quite well. I'm feeling okay, and I haven't had a shutdown yet, which is what usually happens when I've had a big sensory overload from doing these sorts of things. But I'm only able to communicate with you right now because my autism is actually my specialist topic, and which is one reason why I love my disability. So because I love my autism, I'm able to really talk about it a lot and appear quite neurotypical, if you like.
And maybe you see it as a gift. How does it actually help you? Because we had J-Rock on before, and he said how that makes him more creative and everything. What is it like with you?
I agree with the creativity.
Yeah. Okay.
I find inspiration wherever I look for art or books or stories or anything, because I notice so much detail around me. Like I can see, I'm looking at you, but I can see every fibre of the carpet there just sort of wiggling away.
Really?
And and obviously it's very distracting. Another reason why I find it hard to process information, because there's a lot of detail jumping out at me all the time, and it's like zooming into everything with a pair of binoculars. So there's that.
It sounds like a bit of a superhero, when you see on TV, doesn't it? Sometimes when they have all these senses and they can pick up everything.
It's definitely my superhero gift.
Yeah.
It must be quite distracting for you.
Oh, very.
So if you're in a situation and you're trying to focus on something and then something else is jumping up at you, so it must be quite hard for you.
And it's a constant thing, it never ends.
How do you manage it though then, if we have all these distractions and stuff?
So I can't work in a traditional job because I get too many overloads from processing all the information around me. I have so little energy to do things. So like anything from chores, like any basic chores like cleaning up the house or something, which would normally take one person like maybe half an hour or something to do, like the dishes in the kitchen. It would take me hours, and it would just wipe me out with energy for days, and I would have shutdowns, which for me they manifest as being completely unable to talk and walk and do any type of life skill at all. So it does affect me a lot, and the way I manage that is by only doing the things I'm capable of doing and I love, which is my autism activism. And in order to do this, for example, I usually rest for a week beforehand, doing as little as I can. At least I tried this week. I've been quite busy.
You're doing really well.
It's actually really good the way you've explained it, because it's given me such an insight into this, because I didn't actually realise, the type of things that you go through and the kind of things that you have to deal with. But tell us about your volunteer work as well.
I love my volunteer work. I was going through a really tough time when I was roughly 18, really struggling with being autistic. And I had post-traumatic stress disorder because there was just, lots of bullying, lots of abuse, that sort of thing. So I was really struggling. But I started volunteering with a disability youth action group called the Chatterboxes. And it was a safe haven, and it was incredible, and it changed my life just like that. I started doing motivational speeches, and autism training, and then from there I started my own business called Asperger World, and I wrote my book.
Oh, amazing! Wow. What's it like having achieved that now for you? It must be so amazing.
It is a dream come true, because I've always wanted to help empower the autistic community in some way, and I never really knew how to do that. And then I managed to publish my book, and I just get...
And how old were you when you started your book?
I was 13.
Oh, really?
I was 13.
And how old are you now?
25.
Okay.
It published last year, and it became like an instant bestseller, and I'm just so happy because I get so many people contacting me saying how much the book's insights changed their perceptions, and just make them feel more comfortable in their skin, and they know how to help now, you know, and it's
great that you actually persevered and you didn't give up.
Fills me with joy.
Yeah, amazing. Well done. Congratulations.
Very popular at the expo, weren't you? Like lots of people talking to Joely and adults as well who affected themselves who just wanted to have
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your story, my darling, and all the best with everything you're doing as well. Thank you. Now, Anna, before we go, can you quickly zip through all the things that are coming up?
Well, lots of Autumn's Got Talent. We've got 3 shows. So we're going to St Ives, and we're going to the Wirral, and just lots of talks all over the country, really. So just to try and fit everything in. And do you know what? Sleeping, hopefully, because Angelo didn't sleep at all last night. Like I've been awake for almost 48 hours, and I feel like I'm shutting down now.
I don't know how she does it, so I'm actually going to leave her to go and sleep now while we go on to the next part. Thank you so much, Anna. We'll see you again next time. And Joely, again, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you. Well, everyone, now it's time for my own tips on how you can help prevent what's going on in the world from affecting you negatively. Now, terrible events do happen, and sometimes these can have an impact on your mental health. It could cause stress, anxiety, and fear about the future for you and your family. So here's some tips to help you. The first one is, which I kind of mentioned in the news already, is don't overdo the media exposure. So if something major has happened in the world, of course we know it's going to be in the news constantly, the whole day. And it's not that you're not going to watch the news, but don't overdo it. Now, most of us are now constantly connected with social media and updated all the time. And of course, if you are constantly connected, that will bring you more stress. So avoid checking updates, for example, before you go to bed or as soon as you wake up. That's no way to start or end the day. And also, we've spoken about alerts before. Just turn them off so you're not constantly bombarded. So just limit the amount of things that you're watching on the news. The second point is to drink positivity. So listen to happy news, take in good stuff as well, read positive articles. Remember that there are great things going on in the world too. It's not just all the bad stuff that we are constantly bombarded with. The third point is to try not to change your routine. I remember when we had the London bombings, I was quite nervous about getting on the tube. I think for maybe a few days, I actually avoided the tube altogether. And then my mum would sort of phone me from Cyprus and say, you know, avoid central London, don't go there, it's dangerous. Now I actually love going to central London for a meal. And then I thought to myself, you know what, I'm not going to be afraid anymore, because, you know, if it's my time to go, I'm going to go. I can't change my routine. I can't change the way I normally do things because of these kind of threats. So I just started to do things normally again, and that fear went. So if you start changing your routine and changing everything, of course you're going to take certain precautions. Not to say that, you know, don't be careful or anything like that, but you can't just change the way you do things or everything that you do just because of what's happened, because that will probably bring you more stress. The next one is don't focus on the event, focus on you. So make sure you don't forget about yourself. Maybe you're consumed with what's happened, but make sure you keep on with the things that you normally do, like exercise, make sure you get enough rest, eat well, get your daily dose of nature, and relax as well. The fifth point is to spend time with your loved ones. Now sometimes I know after a traumatic event, people sometimes want to spend time alone, which to an extent is okay. Maybe you want to reflect on what's happened. Maybe the events have actually pushed you to consider your future in a different, maybe deeper way, but don't stay alone too long, or else you can run the risk of isolating yourself and then starting to feel down. And also, if you actually need help, if you're finding that you want to spend too much time alone, it's best to speak up and ask for help. And the next one is, don't forget about others. So you can find a good cause to support. So instead of just focusing on the bad things that have happened, try to make a difference in the world in some way. Well, that's it for today, folks. But if you have a story that you would like to share, or you'd like to tell us your comments about today's program, please do get in touch with us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at Chrissy B Show, or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know more about my mental health journey, all you need to do is visit my website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye-bye for now.
Let's use a spoon and just crush it.
Yes,
I think it is.
Oh, let's have a look. That didn't take long, did it?
No.
Oh, seems very quick. Everybody. Should we put it back in here?
Yes.